This is Zettelcast, brought to you by readers, writers, thinkers, and teachers from LiLLiPub, along with our partners in thought, our Zettelkastens. In this show, we share discoveries that our Zettelkastens have shown us.
There you go.
And compare notes on how we're using this marvelous invention in our creative work. Thank you for joining us.
All right, Book. Let's do it again.
All right.
Episode 59, In Character.
Welcome, public, curious onlookers and friends. This is episode 59 of the Zettelcast. I'm Victoria Crowder, the author of Zettelkasten for Fiction Writers, which is coming out next month. And we're glad to have you. So, for today's challenge, I thought I would keep the focus a little bit in line with the challenge that we're running over in LiLLiPub, which is called the Experience Collection Challenge. And it's all about creating one note card a day, capturing something from your experience that could potentially be useful in a story or a piece of work later. So for today's first challenge, I asked my fellow Zettelcasters to create at least one experience note card for a character that they're either writing or that they have written. It can be from their own reality. It can be just made up from the character's world. Absolutely no rules there. And I asked them to share their card and tell us how or why that experience capture tells us something about the character or how it's useful in the story being told. And my ulterior motive is to give our viewers a little bit of an inside look at the process that we each use as writers when we capture details, maybe put them on ice for days or months or years at a time, and then potentially pull them back out and decide how they're useful. So let's pull back the curtain, and who wants to go first and share an experience or a note card that informs a character?
Well, I need to go first, but I'm not even ready. Oh my God, this is terrible. I need to go first. Yeah, because I have an appointment. I did put one of them, but this is activity 2, I think. Okay, I did put one of them into the shared folder. But the first experience is supposed to be about an experience card, right? Okay, so here we go. Ready? Okay. I'm writing about my character, Gigi Jameson, the winningest men's college basketball coach in 3 different divisions in the US. He's been there, done that in spades. Plus, he's lonely, needs a trusted companion, someone who sees into his "it ain't easy being green" tattoo without too much discussion. Disturbingly, Gigi has been having recurring on a theme dreams about space travel. They're getting more and more vivid each night as time goes by. He's even told Rosie he's even told Rosie 2M's about it. Maybe it's time for him to make a change in his life. Actually, he's been ready to do something different for quite a while. It'll likely still be about basketball, and there are those dreams. Is something somewhere trying to tell him something? Is space travel in his future? A lot of people are taking that route lately. It's all over the news. But is this something he should do? Would Rosie 2M's consider coming with? Gigi, the intergalactic traveler, still sounded too much like a dream told something. What could turn it into more? Did he want that? Did he want that much difference? He was caught between that proverbial rock and a hard place. He dreaded going to sleep more and more each night, but could not wait. to taste his next space adventure. So,
Oh, that's excellent. Excellent. So let's unpack that. That's a lot of great material. And if you look at it just in the context of character arc or even story structure, you have an entire story sketch captured right there in just those few notes. And it keys in on every level. So we understand thematically that this person is having a struggle. He's struggling with himself. He's also struggling with his realities. You've got internal and external. Then we've got loneliness and how that loneliness is a driver for some of the other feelings that he's starting to have. Potentially it's driving the dreams. Potentially it's driving his dissatisfaction. The evolution of the dreams and the thought process then drives the dissatisfaction to create his struggle, whereby he's trying to decide, what should I do? Should I do what all these other people are doing? Is that right for me? So we immediately are plunged in to rooting for this character and wanting to understand, how is he going to face this struggle and what is that going to result in? Is he going to take the plunge, or rather the launch, and change his circumstance? Is he going to connect with this other person, thereby addressing the loneliness? So you see how things are set up at the beginning, that you can easily pull those threads through depending on which part of the story you want to grow out, and end up on the other side with the story resolution. So I guess we're done. Well done, Deb. Fantastic. That's it. Perfectly encapsulates the whole goal of this. Is just getting some of those key details down will give you a route to go through so that you can get your character to the other side, to some sort of either adventure or ultimately resolution, or a cliffhanger. It's up to you, the writer. All right, who wants to follow that class act? Not me.
Well, I can do mine. It's a pretty simple card. And I'll share my down-facing camera so I can show you my card. And my card is going to pertain to my character, Helen. And it's an experience that I actually had that I think applies well to her. And it has to do with the feeling of overwhelm. When you're asked to do something and on the surface of it, you think, oh my gosh, I've never done that before. I can't do that. And your first instinct is to say, maybe you have the wrong person. But, being at heart a pleaser and not ready to say no as promptly as one ought to. Instead, I took the first step and that went okay. And then a few more steps and I realized, well, I think this is something that I can do. And I think this is going to apply really well to Helen because she has recently run into Xavi, and the two of them are going to try to make sense out of not just understanding the cards that she's been scanning, but comparing the printout of what the computer says was on the card with what's actually on the card, and trying to deduce the difference and see if they can do the collective differences through the cards and find out that there's a coherent message in what has not been collected from the card. So this is going to feel to her like just something totally, totally beyond her ability. But she's not alone in it. Javi's gonna be there at her side.
Excellent, excellent.
Fun.
So a very different approach whereby Kathleen's taken a specific experience, a specific feeling, and then abstracted that out and molded it so that it becomes part of building out a character. So that's a very different way than the way that Deb approached it, but still it works just as well, which is, again, perfectly proving the point that it doesn't matter where you start. You can start at any point in building a character or a story. You just have to get a point on the map, and then you can start building things around that point, and that's how you grow out the story. It works. All right. Who's next?
I'll go next because mine is from the point of view of Javi. So,
Oh, nice.
the dusty dark halls smelled like solace and the thrill of discovery to Javi. In them, he could relax. In them, he could follow his nose without hindrance.
Oh. Now that is beautiful. So in this
So
way,
he's got,
we have
yeah, he's got a
a specific
dichotomy
sense.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Because most people would find halls confining, but he finds them, he feels freedom in there.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And that's a great tool, especially when you're dealing with the five senses, because, everyone expects, the coffee smelled strong. Or I was just reading a book about a librarian, and she goes on this adventure, and 4 separate times the author has used some variation of his gaze was as sharp as glass, basically, is what she keeps playing off of. And I'm like, can you come up with something fresh? I mean, it doesn't have to be completely off the wall, but the sound was thunderous. Okay, surely you can do better than that. So that's a perfect example of push yourself a little further, and if you can turn or twist the idea in some way that makes it fresh, then the reader goes, ooh, instead of going, ugh, because nobody likes things that have been done 10,000 times. So yeah, push yourself as a reader, do
Victoria?
the Mel thing.
Victoria, that is exactly why I have an insult section in my Zettelkastens.
Yeah, anybody that's been around for this week knows that I totally admitted that you had writerly one-upped me by having an insult section in your Zettelcast, and that's awesome. But truly, if there's something that either you're not good at, you haven't really written a lot in, some people are terrible at confrontation. So collecting either scenes or dialogue or examples, even from real life, of people becoming aggressive, having a confrontation, collecting those details, if that's not your wheelhouse, can help you write them later should you need them. I mean, that's why we do this, because the ideas have to come from somewhere. And when somebody says, maybe as a feedback partner, that's kind of cliched, and you're like, but that's all I got. Send yourself on a research journey and either start brainstorming or, watching films, whatever, wherever you have to go to mine for that information. That's how you harness one of the superpowers of having a Zettelkasten in the first place.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Yeah. I love the idea of the smell meaning something different, not just the hallways meaning something different, but the smell meaning something different. For most people, anything musty would be like, oh, I got to get out of here. And for Javi, it's like, it feels like home. Yeah.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it reminded me of people that grow up in a small town, a tiny town. My in-laws lived in a tiny town, Cowden, Illinois, 629 people. It was on the outskirts of a much larger town that probably had about 1,600 people.
It's a
That
suburb.
had the real grocery store and such. But when kids grow up in a town like that, there's a street that we didn't think anything of, but they called it the hard road. And it
Oh,
was
yeah.
it was one and only one street through town that went anywhere. And it was like for kids to stand there and look at that road going off in both directions, it was like that was the path to the world. And I wonder if Javi felt that way about the hallways.
Mm. Good insight.
That's good. That's good. That's funny because where I grew up in Martin City, equally as small, we had a hard road and it was Blue Ridge Extension, but it's because that was the paved road. All of the other roads were off. They were basically wagon ruts. So,
Yeah, well, most of the
choose
roads
your metaphor.
in the town were asphalt, but very soon, I mean, as soon as you got out of the town limits, they were just gravel roads out to farms.
Yeah, that's awesome. What a great detail, though. Everybody can steal that one. That's a good one. Never know.
That was great, Mel. Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I will go next. The name of the tagline for this card is Jenna's curtsy to Jinx.
Oh,
So Jinx is a word that we have heard Chris say a couple of times in the opening scenes when he's looking at a particular tree. And in a scene coming up, he's going to introduce Jinx, this tree, to Jenna. Instinctively, Jenna bowed her head, closed her eyes, bent her knees, and opened her arms wide. The curtsy she now understood as a genuine act of courtesy, devoid for the moment of self-regard. She listened for sound unheard, poised to perceive vibrations unfelt. Her heart was touched by something like earnest desire to communicate. As self-regard reintroduced itself, she couldn't be sure she hadn't imagined the whole thing. On the other hand, she couldn't be sure she had.
Oh, yay. Fantastic. So see what happened there? We're given a lens into this character and a little bit about maybe what they're thinking or how they're processing the scene. But then from that closeness, then we back away. And now we're questioning what's actually happened. And so you have just a little bit of tension there because you're kind of worried about what is she experiencing and what does that mean? I mean, it opens all kinds of juicy questions for the reader because now we're in it. Like, you got to know, which is it? What happened? And is she reliable or not? I mean, it opens all kinds of questions. That's another great example of why a single experience can often be the very thing that unlocks the way forward through a story or even through a scene. If you're stuck, throw something in there and let your character think about it and see what happens. Because as we know, that our job is to write a great story for our readers. And if we're surprised and delighted by what's going on, then your reader's going to be like, oh yeah, that was great. So very nice, very nice. This is good stuff. Okay, so for mine, I chose a card. When I started teaching plot modeling, I began with the most basic model of plot, which is you have a character, and that character is in some kind of situation, and that it's going to go one of two ways. Either it's going to go up, and it's going to improve their situation, their attitude, their perspective, or it's going to go down, and it's going to be some kind of a negative thing, some kind of problem. So what I chose was, in the example that I was writing about, we are met with a young fisherman, and he has this dear friend, and he wants to tell his dear friend about this journey that he's going on. And his journey is to go fishing, but he's got two problems. One, he has a lifelong fear of water. So going fishing is particularly terrifying. But two, his father has passed, and his father was a great fisherman. And he just feels in his heart he has got to go and do this thing because he feels like it's a way to connect with his dad and with his father's memory. And he's just got to do the thing despite his fear. So I've set up already a struggle in this sweet character. And the way that I provided a mirror for the reader to see this character in was by giving the character a friend. And he tells his good friend that he's so excited, he can't wait to go on this fishing trip, even though he's terrified. And, he's so looking forward to connecting when he gets back and sharing, his big fish story. So the card is And I've just named him X. I didn't give him a name in the story, so he's just X. X goes on the trip. He confronts his fear. He catches the fish and cherishes the experience. When he comes back, rather than his story doing this, his story does this. Because what happens is he tells his friend his big fish story, and he pulls out this fish that he caught, which is like this big. And he's so excited because he faced his fear of the water and he caught his fish and he brought it back and having the best day of his life. And instead of being excited for him and supportive and attaboy, his friend judges him and says, well, that doesn't even count as a fish. I went to the store this afternoon and look what I got. And he opens his cooler and shows him this huge fish that he bought at the market. Major downturn. His hopes are dashed. And that's where I leave him, is I leave him in this pit of condescension and despair that his supposed friend dumped him in. But it illustrates how, depending on where you want to get that character to, just using an either up or a down plot model is how you get them there. And it can be a confrontation with themselves, like Deb was having with her character. He's struggling with himself. It can be a confrontation with something external, like my character's battling his fear of the water, and he's also battling this supposed friend. Or like Julianne, it can be an unrelayed discovery in a moment that leaves you with questions, so you don't know which direction it's going to go. Or like, Xavi trying to turn his experience, and instead of what most of us would experience, it changes for him into something that is transformed, that fits just his character. So no matter how you slice it, one of the keys, I would argue, to finding your way either through character or story is by leveraging experience. And as we've just demonstrated, it doesn't even have to be real lived experience. It can be things that you just made up for your story that you tuck away somewhere on a card, and then when you need it, call it back and stick it in and see, is this the key that I need to toggle to get my character through? So bravo, Zettelkasters. Well done.
I have a question for people who haven't joined LiLLiPub in order to be part of this experience collection extravaganza. Is it too late?
No,
Never too late.
It isn't too late. It's lillipub.org. We're going to be doing this the entire month of November. So we're just beginning November. Come on over to lillipub.org and add your experience. And when you do, we have a little space called the Experience Collection Cafe, where you'll find all of the experiences that other Lilligans are posting. And my goodness, it is lively there. You come back in a half hour and there's more out there. So just be sure to stop by. If you're not quite sure what an experience collection card looks like, come on over to lillipub.org and check out all of them in the Experience Collection Cafe. You're going to be ready to go in no time at all.
Yay.
Hey, Julianne, if I could make a remark on yours, though, that thinking of what I love what you did with that was you brought Jenna to the tree, and she is actively listening to hear something or sensing to feel vibrations. She's got two of her senses on high alert, but what she feels isn't on either of those. What she feels comes in on another channel that she wasn't listening for. And I think that's especially exciting. And if I may share with Deb on yours, and capping on Victoria's, V, the two directions, when he shares this with Rosie 2Ms, that could be a major split point. How's she going to react? Is she going to be, wow, oh my gosh, what an adventure, what a life change? Or is she going to, put it down? That's your readers are going to be in suspense to find out how she's going to react.
Yeah. Yeah. Neither one of them know at the moment.
And that's the truth behind the curtain. We have no idea what's going on.
You've got to listen to your characters and see what happens.
Exactly right. That is exactly right. Okay. Are we ready to move on to round two?
Okay, and let me please go first because I gotta fly. Okay.
All right, you get us started. So the second question was to bring a note card that captures something from one of the five senses, either from your own reality, like your own observed experience, or from that of a character that's completely out of a story. So it's a wild card. It's up to the writer.
Right. So I did put something in the file, which I didn't even have time to print out. So I'll just read it here. Okay. Every day at about the same time, Kelly Newberg would pick up the very distinct odor of gardenias.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where she was, there was this smell at that time of day.
Mm-hmm.
And this smell had been happening on a too regular basis since her weird science day craziness. What could it mean? She hadn't shared it in the link. She hadn't even told Roger, her best friend, since first book kindergarten. Were ghosts real? She wondered, or was this some form of one of her future selves trying to tell her something? Gardenias. Why gardenias?
That is excellent. All right, so we've got a smell sense. We've got the sense of smell and a potential ghostly involvement. So that's one. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go. So mine is a little imagined story behind the experience that I captured yesterday and posted yesterday, which was about some birds.
Yeah. Frenzy birds. I love
yeah.
them already.
Wendell, go and see what all that commotion is about. Okay, Wendell chirped, and he made it straight from his perch 80 feet above ground to the house 200 yards away. Some 24 jays were diving down and jetting up in front of the garage door. As he got closer, his confidence waned, and beat it was all it took to get him turned back around. Whatever they'd been clamoring over disappeared along with the flock that dispersed to their territory in the tree line behind the house.
Excellent. All right, that's two. All right, who's got the third one?
Well, I've got sight, and mine was
Okay.
a mixed feeling of looking out at the yard, and you can actually see in the background the tree in question. It's a tulip tree and it has big leaves, and the tree feels totally covered with these golden leaves. And then you look down at the grass, and the grass is totally covered with said golden leaves. So it's like, where are the leaves coming from? The tree is so full and the ground is so full. And then after enjoying this incredible beauty, which was caught in a moment of sunlight, then the sun goes back behind the clouds and you notice the gray skies, and it's like, uh-oh, I've got to get those leaves swept off the deck, because I remember last year these perfect leaf-shaped stains that were hard to get off the deck. So I was out there with a broom before the rain
Nice.
came.
Oh, that's good. This is fantastic. Okay. Mel, what do you got?
I've got a little thing from my walk earlier today.
Oh. 'Ooh.
There is a sharp, spicy scent in the woods in autumn. The birds are singing, the trees are glowing, and the It is intoxicating, and I have never been able to discover what it is. Smoke wafts on the brisk breeze. Dry leaves chitter on the trees. The river laps its banks. Trucks drone from the highway on the other side.
Oh. I got your
Okay.
sensory detail right here.
Right? Show off. No, that's awesome. Perfect. Okay, so now let's take the
And
one
yours?
that I picked,
Uh-huh.
and this is the one that this grew out of, is when we were working on the Roanoke story. And my character Alex, she's uncertain in this world, and she's looking for ways to interact and have her own experiences in such a way that she can have a better grasp on this world that's happening around her. So there's this kind of fog that she feels like is around her as she's trying to make advances and understand the world. And what she does is she figures out a way to play with it. Now, this number one grew out of Deb's challenge about having brain fog and what that might be like. And I started thinking about it from the point of view of this character. And what she found was a kind of meditative state that allowed the fog to just exist organically around her, kind of like a room full of mirrors. And she discovered that she could find clarity and make discoveries about the world if she just learned to play with rather than have resistance to this fog. So that grew into, it's a quote from C.J. Cook, who wrote, I believe her book is You Let Me In, but don't quote me on that. That could be a book she made a reference to. But she's an Irish author that writes kind of gothic. The Nesting is one of my favorite books of hers, about an architect that moves away with a nanny who's not who she says she is, and the whole situation isn't what you think it is. But her whole approach is, she says that Gothic writing examines the unspeakable aspects of despair. And that set me thinking about our challenge, because I thought, what a great way to unpack the details either of a scene or of a character, to approach them as if they exist in a fog. They exist in a vacuum. There's nothing else around them. And given what you know about your character or your scene, then ask yourself, what are the unspeakable things about the character or the scene? So for me, when I applied this to my card about Alex learning to play with the fog, the first thing that came out of it was my sweet fisherman, who goes to the water to confront his terror and to hopefully connect with his dead father. And I thought, okay, that's one. Grief is a fantastic, unspeakable thing that often comes out of self-reflection, or, when you just open yourself to allowing an emotion or a thought to run its course. Sometimes the thing that we don't talk about is the fact that we're grieving or that we've had a loss. We just kind of pack it away and it's dealt with and it's gone. So that's the thing that I unpacked from just allowing myself to think through, what might she be dealing with? Well, perhaps the thing that she hasn't faced or it hasn't worked through is some kind of deep loss. And it's manifesting in a way that she's not thinking clearly enough to be able to fully participate in and accept this world that she's in. So that was how it played through for me. So we've got the sense of sight with the birds, and the fact that they're run off, go get rid of the fracas. We've got our tulip tree, right? We've got the changing of the season, the falling of the leaves, the compulsion to get rid of the leaves so they're not an inconvenience. And then we've got this beautiful like surround sound sensory experience of being on a walk. And you can uncover a jillion things out of that. So this is where I throw it to my colleagues and say, if you think about your scene or your character through the lens of what is unspeakable or left unsaid for them, what would that be? And how might you write that?
Well, since you mentioned autumn, that's one of the things that comes with autumn is it's also with spring, but especially with autumn, the transitory nature of it. That now the tree is covered with leaves, but if you get a good stiff windstorm, you could wake up the next morning, be knee deep in leaves, and that tree could be nearly bare. It's that it comes and goes, and it's reflected also in the leaf staining, and that that the beauty can also end up leaving an inconvenience. As beautiful in a strange way as that leaf-shaped stain was, it wasn't something you wanted to have on your deck. So it was kind of a real mixture of stuff. And if I pull it in my first card, there's that feeling of, am I going to be good enough? Am I going to have to admit defeat?
That's excellent. Yeah. So if I were keywording this in terms of an experience collection or in my Zettelkasten, for me, first, I would keyword that to the metaphor of autumn and the falling leaves. Because not only did I get the transience of it, I also got some kind of a beauty of what's left behind. Because for me, the imprints on the deck, that would be a gift. I would love that. Because it would, autumn's my favorite season. So it would remind me of the season, even though it's a nuisance. So for me, that's a happy thing. For you, it's a get rid of thing. But that's the value of this kind of exercise, is look at it from these different aspects and see what's the thing that's unspeakable or that's left out there hanging. And can you play with that? But I would definitely keyword that under autumn metaphors for me. Next.
Well, in my first card with Javi in the dusty halls, what's left out, what's not spoken of, is why he's so comfortable down there, and you know what have his experiences been with other people that he would rather be wandering down there in the dark alone.
Yeah. Nothing about the truck when you feel like you're out in the absolute wilderness and you're way away from civilization, and then you hear this truck.
Well, it's impossible to get away from civilization here. It's everywhere.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, yesterday I was surrounded by all sorts of nature and wonderful silence, and there was no direction in which I couldn't also hear leaf blowers.
Oh, nice. Another hallmark of autumn. Yeah, no, I would put that Javi observation. For me, that would go in character development. I would put that under character motivation, because I get that as a very strong motivator for who he is and why he is the way that he is. So that's now two really good examples that totally diverge out of the same simple exercise. Is we've got one that gave us more of a thematic kind of metaphor or a thematic approach, and then we've got Mel's, which drove us more in the direction of character, potentially backstory. But this, as I said when we started, this is how you pull back the curtain. Everyone thinks that there's something magical and mystical about the writer's process, but which of course we know there is, and we're not sharing that. But it really is. There's nothing special. It's just learning to give yourself perspectives and challenges that push you to figure those things out, so that when you come out on the other side, then you know the answer, whether it's story or character. What you got, bird lady?
Well, yeah, I'm thinking more about Jenna and her curtsy to Jinx. Because at the very beginning of my part of this story, Jenna is looking for this whole day at Chris Houston's house with a lot of other people as an opportunity that maybe she's finally going to understand him.
Oh.
And so here he's giving her an opening, but it's in a realm that is completely not her thing.
Yeah.
So it's,
Yeah.
there is a little bit of that, am I good enough? But it's, do I possess the right sort of sensitivity?
Ah.
Am I just a brain being carried around by my body,
Yeah. Excellent. Well,
Wow.
and I also get the challenge factor. What we know about her is she kind of moves through the world with her own special superpowers, and her ability to communicate and understand things. And this is a great, take a fork and poker, because this is a challenge. This is a great way. This is not bombs blowing up. It's not, high Jinx and mayhem, but this is a very interesting way to poke at a character right in their soft spot.
Yeah.
Very nicely done. Because then your reader's like, is she going to get it? I don't know. Do I want her to get it? I'm not sure. Do I want him to help her? Maybe. You have all these questions. That's the point.
Yeah.
And then I just wanted to comment for Deb, since she had to leave early. Her ghostly gardenia smell, chef's kiss. You could go 85 million directions with that. I just read a story that is predicated on the fact that the main character, who's kind of the hero, may or may not be hallucinating things. And you get through the whole book at the end and you still don't know. Was he hallucinating that? Or did it actually happen the way that he thinks that it happened? Because it ultimately led him to win the day, which, hurrah, he won the day. It all ended well. Except for the fact that at the end, you're still going, did that really happen or not? We don't know. But the cool thing is, in the hands of a masterful writer, it doesn't matter. We don't care if it was actually real, because it gave us enough tension to get us through the story. But in the end, you kind of don't want to know, because the mystery is part of the best driver. So in some cases, not revealing to the reader what the unspeakable thing is, that's the genius move, because the reader wants to stay in that world. I mean, who hasn't read something that you just want to continue thinking and wondering about long after you've read it? That story hit me like that. You don't care if it's real or not. You just love the fact that it existed and it's a mystery. All right, anybody want to add anything to wrap up?
Let's do it again. This was fun. I think this should go into the rotating list of, well, I'm host this week, I don't know what else to do. Let's do one of those.
Yeah, there you go.
Good
Let's
idea.
play a game.
And if you're
Well,
talking about doing it again, come on back
There it
over
is.
to LiLLiPub.org. I'll do the plug again. We have an awful lot of fun over there, so please come join us. And we're growing
Please
too.
do.
We've had several people have responded to that invitation, and new faces are there and contributing. It's so delightful.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. If all else fails, give yourself a wacky challenge and force your characters or your story to rise to it, because you won't be any worse off for it. If anything, it will be neutral. It will probably be better. So do as we do, as well as we say. And come over and join us.
Yes.
Good fun to be had. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.